Hello friends, it's Caroline. This week's message to Lightworkers answers a question sent in by a Lightbringer asking why dementia and Alzheimer's are so prevalent now in our older population. And they point out that there's been deliberate poisoning of our environment, our food, water, air, etc. And they're just wondering, how can we as the common people counter such a dire situation? And they're also wondering, how can we possibly be talking about Nasara or the rise to the fifth dimension when all this is going on? So I will just paraphrase what the collective say, and you can read the full message, the full channeling at ascensiontimes.com. And basically they agree this is a very intense issue, and that yes, many people might have lived longer and healthier had these contaminants not been flooded into our environment, and yet the era we're in right now is incredibly unusual. The human brain they're saying, is now undergoing powerful processes to evolve into our fifth dimensional capabilities, and that this is connected. This is part of what we're seeing now around you. So you're probably aware that in our sleep state we travel. We are in our etheric body, we're in other dimensions, we're on other planets, or we're on ships or in Earth, etc. We're just fulfilling our Earth mission in different ways. And they point out that, yes, there's an awful lot going on in our environment which is not good, but keep in mind that a much greater influence on the human mind and our physical brain is only part of that, is the powerful light codes coming in now, and these powerful golden light particles flowing to us, gold dust, monoatomic gold dust from our sun, and that this affects us as well. And it's not a negative effect, but it's shifting a lot in terms of how our brains function. And they point out that some people have actually planned to be in a state in which they will often travel in their waking state, not only in their sleep state, but in their waking state. They'll travel into the etheric, they'll visit other realms, and this happens well before they actually physically are gone. So the spirit mind will be absent from the physical self during those journeys. And they're not saying that illnesses like dementia or Alzheimer are a positive thing. Not at all. It's just that many people have chosen difficult situations, even debilitating ones, even autism, in which to complete these areas of growth that they've desired for many Earth lives, but which have eluded them until now. So now is the moment when we begin to join what were 3D brain capabilities and spirit mind capabilities with our higher aspect. And they point out that these are ones who suffer from loss of cognitive and physical function. They're still fulfilling their life charts. It might seem unbelievable that anybody should choose to lose control and consciousness in this way. And yes, it is a form of starting to release physical life and to go forth into the etheric, to see what lies beyond Earth life before they make that journey in the bigger sense, in the final sense. So they see and they realize a lot in that state that you and others and we miss because it's outside of our heart mind. We don't realize the journey they're undertaking. And the collective many gained the ability to see presences long hidden from them while they had full mental capability as we view it. So they might see presences in the room that we don't, including loved ones in spirit form who are waiting to escort them back home to the higher realms. Or they might see galactic friends and family, or beings such as dragons or the Fae, people who were supposedly mythical, who are in fact very real, but they exist at a higher dimensional level than what most of us can see every day, unless you really have that third eye mind-blowingly open. So they're saying that what's lost in terms of cognition is gained in terms of the higher mind coming forth and being freed from the old boundaries of what we call logical thought processes. And of course, that doesn't make it okay that they are not quite themselves as we knew them. And of course, it's distressing to see a loved one in a state of detachment from everyday life, to be somewhere that we can't quite reach them. And yet on a higher level, they're very aware of our presence and our words. It's just that whole parts of their spirit are traveling elsewhere and experimenting a bit, reacquainting themselves with life in other realms, and often choosing where they'll go next. So the collectives say, well, you might be thinking, can't they do all that in their dream state? Or can't their higher self just make those choices for them? And what's really interesting that the collective share with us is they say, as these ones venture in spirit into other realms, they're helping to bridge the notion of reality, what we call reality, for those who are still firmly planted in what appears to be a 3D world, and helping to bridge that to 5D. So they journey energetically in spirit, seeing much in the world that's hidden, in addition to checking that their own Earth mission has been completed. And few are in a state in which their higher mind is not active, even while the Earth mind appears to be drawing a blank, that their spirits are nevertheless very busy. They're monitoring much that's happening with the world, and they're assisting energetically as needed, whether they're in their sleep state or they're awake. And yes, it's distressing to see, as well as to see this situation of widespread autism in children. And yet this is also part of a person's life chart, particularly in this generation, and we have to respect it as such, even when it's painful to do that. Many are actively in touch with star nations, working with them in spirit to assist in full disclosure of the galactic presence, working hard to establish the vibrations necessary to anchor peace on the planet. And many are adept at hearing tonal vibrations or seeing colors or other color spectrums we don't usually see, understanding certain aspects of life, including advanced physics, that elude those who are not on the autism spectrum. So there's a rhyme and a reason for all of this. And they're saying, we don't say that this is the most desirable or best way to fulfill one's Earth mission, yet it is a powerful development as these ones are joining Earth mind with the higher mind. It's already highly active, and this is a great part of humanity's ascension. So it is so that most will say they never want their loved ones to leave this earth, or they only want them to leave in peaceful and comfortable ways, and only well into their elder years. But all of us journey out of the body every night in our sleep state, and some have had journeys to different realms even while awake, and that can be reached in deep meditation. So we're going to bring them in for the last part of this beautiful message. I particularly want their energies to reach your heart space. The question about how can we prevent this on an individual level, of course it's best to drink pure water, structured water, and eat healthfully, have organic fruits and vegetables, not eat the processed foods, not eat the junk food. Get exercise each day if possible, at least 2 or 3 times a week for at least a half an hour, and then build up from there. It's good to meditate. It's good to do, as doctors suggest, to keep the cognitive abilities. And the situation with autism with children, that's probably going to have to be another channeling because that's a big one. But they are so powerfully starseed, so many of these young people. So I'm going to bring them in right now, the collective. Just give me a moment. Oh, greetings, dear ones. And yes, indeed, this is a powerful development, as these ones are joining Earth mind with higher mind. And yes, all of you do journey every night out of your body, in your sleep state, and you can go to different realms, and you can certainly also experience a lot in states of deep meditation. Yes, indeed. You're all gaining the ability to see and experience, or at least feel the presence of other realms and those who inhabit them, whether you realize it or not. This is becoming very real for you, and you are nowhere near so fully anchored into physical life as you have so long believed. This is also a powerful movement into ascension. And we will say that yes, of course, it was very dark of the old powers that were, and they are fading fast. And many of those responsible are already in a position to answer for these decisions in courts of divine justice. And you may ask them, if you wish, did you think you could stop the ascension of Earth and her people? Did you think these illnesses and disorders would be enough to stop the developing mind, the blending of higher self with Earth self? And in truth, none of their schemes are enough to keep humanity in a state of slavery and 3D containment. Their plans have not succeeded, nor will they do so. In addition to the light codes pouring in now, full of higher mind data that assists you in this 5D integrations, there are powerful angelic and galactic interventions taking place now, and all of this will only increase in the coming months and years. So continue to call it forth. You are all continuing to ascend, despite the dire analyses you will hear at times. And so in addition to calling in divine assistance, we powerfully recommend the words of a great poet and encourage you to use that Lady Master's beautiful phrase, whenever you feel defeated, as you view illnesses, disorders, afflictions of any kind. It appears to be defiance, this statement, yet it is co-creation, a realization of the divine self within all. And the statement is, "And still I rise." These words were written by a genius and a great teacher descended in her last earth life from enslaved persons, and they apply to all persons if you will allow it. We encourage you to release notions of defeat, though, yes, as the poet says, this is the hour of soulful cries for justice. You have in spirit already declared your freedom, your release from the shackles of dark interferences. And so the poet speaks, "You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise." And so from this higher level, you need not see the world as a place where it feels so wrong or strange to speak of the fifth dimension and Asar's enactment. You begin to understand these conditions are part of what these dear ones have come in for, in their journey of linking 3D state of spirit mind with far higher ones. Their energies are a kind of bridge into the higher mind state. Would this be our preference for them for any earth life? No, of course not. Yet bear in mind, many are here for the last time in a 3D world, and they will not return to suffer this way again. Many are Starseed, and only regain their memory of their true family and true home in moments of what appear to be loss and delusion. They travel, it is so, and so do you all. It is simply that you do your travel in your sleep state, and you desire all to be well in ways that the third dimensional earth cannot offer you. And yet you are all shaking off the shackles that have held you back for millennia. Draw up your courage for these last days of the old paradigm, dear ones. You cannot lose who you truly are, neither can your loved ones. Reclaim this in your heart space, and the mind will come to accept in its own way and time that all is well. So whenever your heart sinks, speak this beautiful phrase of co-creation and reclamation of one's divinity. And still I rise. Namaste, friends who are family. You are never alone.